We're back with Therapy is Dope, and today we're meeting with Dr. Julie Merriman, a professor, and a therapist, and I'm excited to see what we're going to dig into today.
Hmm.
Uh, she was telling me that her focus is very somatic, so I'm very excited about it.
Love that.
If you could, Julie, will you tell us a little bit about your background? Or should I call you
Sure.
doctor?
No, Julie,
Okay.
Jules.
Jules, oh, I love it.
Jules. But, um, gosh, my background, it has been like this. My daddy said I never took a straight line anywhere. I complicated everything. But the short of it is, I've been a therapist for about 30 years. I've been a counselor educator to train thousands of counselors into the field, which is fun. I love
Mm.
supervising and training up our babies, right, as they come into the field. Um, I've been researching burnout and compassion fatigue. Since probably 2006 or so.
Mm.
And because before I got my doctorate, I was still an LPC supervisor, and I saw my interns coming in going, "Woohoo, let's do this!" And then 6 weeks later, they're dragging themselves in, and I
Mm.
was like, "What in the hey is going on?"
Yeah.
And found out a lot about burnout, compassion fatigue. My first book is about that. And then it really got into nervous system regulation, realized that we try to do so much when that frontal cortex isn't online. And until we
Mm.
get into that, well, we don't want to be in sympathetic because then we're elevated, but we need to get regulated. And then so many yummy things happen. So my new book that's coming out in April is called Are We Going to Have Sex or What? And it's all about getting our nervous system regulated and how we can bring pleasure back on board. So, anyway, and I'm a
I love
boombie.
that.
I have two grandkids that I love being a boombie. So,
Oh,
Is that what they call you, Boombi?
yeah, that's what
That
yes,
is
we're
so cute.
we're in Texas. So,
Mm.
that's what we called my grandmother. My sister was probably trying to say something, who knows, but yes, Boomby. And we just got back I took the kids over to Costa Rica, and man, we had a great nervous system
Mm.
regulating experience over there.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm fascinated. I'm not a straight line person anyways. I'm not good at saying in boxes rules. I'm pretty sure are meant to be broken by me because I need to figure out what my rules are. But somatics is definitely a whole different like wealth of intelligence that I feel like most people don't understand. And also I feel like it's like the missing key in a lot of what we're looking for because anxiety and uncertainty, which is like super massive right now, really can feel supported from a space of somatics. But if you don't know, how do you even start? So that's kind of my first question to you. For our listeners who might have those experiences, what would you
Yeah.
tell them?
Oh, that is so good because, yeah, when we become floating heads of competence, especially those of us in the field that collect degrees, if you will. We are so good at thinking. We try to think our way out of things, and you
Mm,
can't. You absolutely
mm,
cannot. Somatic therapy, and I always have told my students this, like we are so good at talking. You get those clients they can be so talking, you think they're really working, but they're really resistant because they're just talking through things. We got to get embodied. We've got to get, I like to think thoughts happen here, feelings happen in our body. I use a lot of chakra psychology in working with my clients because that gives me clues as to what's going on where in their body.
mm,
So the very first thing I do, ladies, and I tell you, sometimes the very first thing I do is try to teach my clients a full body scan. There's no right or wrong way to do it, just a
mm.
full body scan. And to be very curious because we're judgy. I mean, towards ourselves, especially, we can be so mean, say things to ourselves we would never say to anyone else. But when I first try to get them embodied, I mean, sometimes they get a bit irritated because it is so foreign. It's like, Julie, I have no idea. What do you mean? Where do I feel something? So
Right.
trying to have them approach that with curiosity and love and just be curious. There's no right or wrong because right, everyone thinks, oh, I'm doing this wrong. No, you're not. But just be curious about any physical sensation you might feel as you're scanning. And then to put your hand there is that's a very important component because we need to know that, yeah, I'm alive. Yeah, I feel that. And I'm going to add some softness and gentleness to whatever I might. First, it's a physical sensation. I'm not even going to ask them for a feeling at that point because
Right.
it's too much. It's too much. Um, Also, we've got to get them grounded, right? The more grounded we can get ourselves, the more we can wrap our heads around this thing called anxiety and this, because really that's a dysregulated nervous system just going, I'm not safe.
Yeah.
I'm having feelings that I don't know what to do with. But
Right.
the very first thing is to start that full body scan and get and it's a new neural pathway. Neuroscience is in there too. Because
Yeah.
they're like, I don't know what that
Like a
is.
new
So
language. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's a language between like your brain and your body, and we're very well versed in the floating head space, right? But the vagus nerve has 80% of information going up to our brain. Like we don't realize how much intelligence is actually coming from our body that then our brain is interpreting. But something you just kind of said that I'm curious with, like we don't know what to do with our anxiety sometimes, right? Are we supposed to just be with it? Like, is that when you say do the body scan, is like, is that what you mean? Like, be with your anxiety rather than solve for what it's trying to figure out?
I love that. Absolutely. The more we can be with it, the more empowered we are. And y'all know we
Mm,
try to work around it. We want these shortcuts because that doesn't feel
sure.
good. I want to get out of that. But the, and I know this is cliche, and I know y'all probably said it as well, but you got to feel it to heal it, right? And
Mm.
you've got to sit with it. I had a brilliant professor when I was working on my doc stuff. I was upset about something. I remember Dr. Marbley said, Julie, you just got to sit your ass in that hole and feel what you need to feel. It's a great visual to be sit in that hole and just feel. But we are very good at not doing that. We scrolling on the phone,
Mhm.
eating, whatever it might be. We really want to distract from just sitting with something. And I tell you, and y'all have probably seen this, my clients that have the greatest growth are those that are able to embrace and sit with those feelings. And I tell you, our body is so wise. I mean, if we can get that vagus nerve regulated and not be scared of it because it's going to send us some signals. Our body is so wise. I work with so many women who have so much resentment from swallowing the truth to keep the peace, taking care of everyone's needs before they even know they have those needs. Anybody?
Were you in my last session? I swear this was the entire conversation. Like literally, she's like, "No, you have to be perfect." I'm like, "No, you don't. There's no such thing as perfect."
No, no. And it's so much energy we waste to try and get there.
Yeah.
But I have found, and it's usually around the heart chakra, a lot of gals, we have some resentment living there. And then we
Mhm.
have rules about that resentment. Well, I have resentment. I have to be ashamed of that. I can't have that feeling. And I like to think of it as sacred resentment because if we will just be with it, it's going to tell you what you need. It's going
Mhm.
to tell you what you need. But, and you're right, it is a new language. You've got to allow that new neural pathway to form and to have tolerance when we don't understand fully. And I'm 63. My estrogen is like, I'm out of here. So, and that beautiful estrogen helps us have more tolerance. So I've really had to, thank goodness my kids are in their 40s. But my husband, I'll have to go, I am not in a tolerant way right this
Yeah.
moment. Give me a
Shoot.
little space. But we have to have tolerance for ourselves as well as we get to those places in life because it's okay. It's okay.
I have like a million questions. Alicia, you want to go?
Oh, Lord. No, you go ahead.
Okay, cool. So I mean, I got like three lined up, but often I get so curious in the beginning that sometimes Alicia will look at me like, can I have a moment? So I will totally encompass this space. Um,
I love
you
y'all have
mentioned
that.
you mentioned embodied, and it's kind of like, what does that mean if you've never been there? Because I know like my own journey learning somatics was like, is this embodied? Is this not? And like that's where, well, this is what it should be, and this is how other people explain it, but there's a uniqueness to it. So when you're teaching people to like sense and be with and embody, how do you help them discern between what is kind of an embodied state and what isn't?
First, I want that because so many of our clients want to please us
Sure.
as we're trying to teach new things, and we very much spent, which isn't correct conjugation, but we spent a lot of time holding space that there's not a right or wrong. This is not a
Mhm.
right or wrong, and your experience is going to be unique for you. It will not be my experience.
Mhm.
And that's why I use a lot of chakra psychology because it tells me, and I will teach them as well.
Mhm.
As I'm also a yoga instructor, but so I might take them through some yoga poses too, as we're trying to move some energy and and get more embodied. So we're going to start grounding. I live on a ranch in Texas. So, and my home office, I mean, I see clients out here at the ranch. So we might go and I have them start brushing my horse and
Mhm.
feeling the ground under them, feeling what Rex, he's such a good little therapist, feeling what Rex is doing, watching his ears, because he's got a really role model being embodied
Mhm.
and how he's experiencing that surrounding. So we will probably start there if I have someone really struggling to go, what does this even mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
But that grounding and I mean, I'm gonna have them take their shoes off. I have a foot washing place because I also have some yoga goats that might be roaming around. I think animals and nature are so important as we're trying to get embodied. We are we're from nature and but we
Mhm.
live in these well hell I know when I worked in Fort Worth I was in a glass building all day long. I
Yeah.
could see the sun but I couldn't get out there to it. So I think that's a very important piece as we learn about getting embodied to get back into nature. Vitamin D is a great emotional regulation regulator. So
Mhm.
let's go outside, let's pet Rex. Let's comb Rex. What's that ground feel like? How does that feel to be supported?
Mhm.
Notice what's happening with your feet. I'm also trained in bioenergetics. So I might have them do some hip rolling. I might have them do some what looks like squats. I'm really not working them out, but it might feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to get that energy moving. And it's really interesting, especially with bioenergetics. If you take, while we're outside or in the office, I have a tennis ball and roll your foot on the one foot on the tennis ball, really do some movement, let's say on the right side. Notice the difference. That right side
Mhm.
is awake, that right side feels more embodied. So I want him to see that difference. And let's go to the left side. I also, and I'm sure y'all do this too, just because we brace so much when we're so busy. We're like, oh, did I miss a deadline? Oh my God, I forgot to do that note, whatever it might be. So I have them squeeze, squeeze, squeeze their shoulders and drop. And I can't tell you how many times. And I won't, it might be while we're discussing something. And they're like, God, I do that all the time. So
Mhm.
just that body awareness is part of that embodiment. So
Mhm.
when you mention anxiety, tell me, where are you experiencing that in your body? So we stop, and usually it's solar plexus or heart stuff going on,
Yeah.
but just being curious about that. Oh my God, that's been going on all my life. I've always had a tummy ache when something's bothering me. Let's see what it has to tell you. So just
Mhm.
really getting embodied and curious about how we're experiencing our body. Hmm.
I have two more questions, but Alicia, I'm going to tee one up for you. So to clue you in, Dr. Julie, Alicia and I regularly talk about how differently we experience the world, and sometimes we forget the other one experiences it in an opposite way. So I don't hear a ton of thoughts in my head. I'm very much in my body, very energetic. Um, Whereas Alicia, correct me if I'm wrong, but you hear a lot of more thoughts in your head than in the body, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm curious as you're because like as I'm listening to you, I'm like, yes, this makes sense. This is kind of my experience as someone who's more thought oriented. How does this land with you, Leash?
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about it
Yeah,
on here before. Like,
sure.
I know that I've experienced anxiety in my lungs, in my stomach, in my chest. I know that have experienced that historically. Um, I am curious about the limbs though, because I don't think I ever feel anything there. And one of my clients told me that he feels anger in his arms. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
interesting.
Interesting.
I've had clients say that too, or in their hands. And I won't say it's always men because it's not, but I that's their experience. And for me, because I'm also trained in emotional transfer, I'm pointing at a box right here that y'all cannot see. So, but it's called emotional transformation therapy, and it's there's a light therapy that goes with it, and it's all the chakra colors. So, having said that, if I have someone that's really in their limbs here, that's kind of blue green between throat and heart chakra. So, I'm going to take them to blue green and the light kind of
Mm,
pulses. And we're going to talk about what the body is saying to you because our body gives us messages. I'm really going to try and get them into that body and have it
mm,
animated, if you will, to see if there's something there that might be a cue. Because y'all know Vanderbilt Volk's book, of course, our body keeps score so much. I mean, a smell can bring in a memory from long ago, or songs. How great are songs?
mm,
But our body will respond to those things, and sometimes I do have them bring music in if we're really trying to get embodied and find some of those old schema that might be. I've got one gal that it's almost like IBS, but her system, her nervous system has stayed dysregulated for so long, but it's
mm.
tied to some real old schema. And we're doing some EMDR and IFS work with that to try and get her
Sure.
get that story kind of settled so we can get her more present in the here and now. But it was so empowering for her to realize that she could get embodied and talk to her stomach when because she wasn't able to go places because her tummy would act up. And then, that's that chicken and egg. Then she's worried about going places because her tummy's going to act up. But she was able to kind of break that cycle just by doing a full body scan, placing her hands places, talking to her tummy, giving her tummy permission. If you need to leave, we'll leave. It's fine. And magically, she wasn't needing to leave as much.
Sure.
I think our body's very powerful.
Can you talk about the chakras? Because I don't know what chakra psychology means.
Yes, yes. Um, chakras, are energy centers. We have seven. I deal with the seven in our body, from our crown to our third eye. Crown is about our upper being, our upper power, our connection with the outer world, if you will. Third eye is about intuition, how we trust ourselves and others. Throat chakra, a lot of ladies, y'all, a lot of ladies. That baby's crack, that baby is tight. Um,
Mhm.
Throat chakra, that's where authenticity lives, speaking our truth, really. And I don't know, have y'all worked with folks and they're going, I have this lump in my throat. I'm just not sure. That's their truth trying to come up, and
Mhm.
um, that they don't really have a dichotomy for that yet. So
Mhm.
then you have your heart chakra, and that's about relationships with self and others. And I think or the ladies I've worked with, I primarily work with high achieving gals. They tend to forget that that self is involved there. Oh, it's selfish. I can't do that. You can, and you should. And then our solar plexus, that's our self-efficacy, our self-empowerment. Um, it is really a center of power. My solar plexus is so daggum bossy, but I won't go there. Then we have our sacral chakra, which is our lower belly, and that's our creativity, our sensuality, and our emotions live there. So think of all the things that go on in our lower belly and think of what's going on in our life. And I don't know about y'all, but I know if I'm taking a lady through some kind of yoga poses and opening up her hips, we have a lot of trauma that lives in our hips. Maybe it's generational, maybe it's something we've experienced, and women can become, well, men too. but a lot of women can become emotional when your hips get opened up. And then you have your root chakra, and that's where safety lives. And if we are all the time going, our nervous system is dysregulated. Safety, we don't feel safe in our body. We don't even realize that that's what's going on. And that's going to impact the bedroom because if you don't feel safe, you're not going to be open. Pleasure's going to go offline. Our brain is very bossy. Um, and it wants to conserve energy. So if we are highly dysregulated, it's going to go, well, this chickie poo doesn't need pleasure. It's out of here.
Mhm.
We got to survive. um, but and the vagus nerve, it's fascinating. It runs all the way through those chakra centers. And I think, I don't know, this ancient wisdom, there's something to it. And
Yeah.
it's not woo woo. I'm an academic. I I'm like, well, we got to have proof, you know. But there is a lot of research to back up how powerful our chakra systems are.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a science person too. One of my certifications is in neurosomatic intelligence and like seeing how you can bridge that gap because there feels like a gap between the like, this is the science, this is the woo, and there's this like, I can't explain this, but I also can't deny this. Like once you have that felt sensation, that felt experience, it's like, okay, it doesn't make sense, but I can't ignore it. Even something we've talked about on here before is the telepathy tapes, right? We can't always explain why this is the way it is, but like what the podcast did a great job doing is like citing its sources, showing the science, showing it, and like whether you experience that or not, like there is so much data and information that supports it. And it's like, why is it valuable for people to repress it, right? And I think
Right.
like where I go to is around Maslow's hierarchy, right? Like we are evolving creatures intended to continue to get safer and safer, ideally. Um,
Ideally.
but it's that one of the things I'll say to my clients is like, this is like how it typically goes. We kind of evolve out of this. Like it could feel like this, it could feel like this, it could feel like this. You have to get to know your body. There isn't a right, there isn't a wrong, but you're not going to believe me that this is a thing until you experience it for yourself.
Right.
It's like that gap of like go out and experiment, one of my favorite words, to see what's true for you in your system. And recently, it's left me curious. My mom is doing well, but she recently had brain surgery. And when I was taking care of her, I had a moment where she fell. And so I like jumped quick into action and I dissociated. So I'm
Sure.
personally curious about dissociation and how you bring people back from that space to more embodied peace and why that might be valuable.
Oh, that's very valuable. And especially with the EMDR, I mean, we like to dissociate when we're doing EMDR. Well, I tease, we don't like to, but that's a very important thing. And as floating heads of competence, we're dissociated from our body. I mean, that's a very dissociated state.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I think it's very important that just basic, tell me 5 things going on in the room right here, right now. Come into this room right here, right now. Tell me 5 things going on. Tell me 3 things that you hear. Let's get you stood up. I, I will have people stand up 9 times out of 10 when they're dissociated because I want them grounding. So let's get you standing up. I I'm going to stand up here. I'm not going to, but I'm probably going to have them pulsing their legs, breathing, moving, however their body wants to move, because your body wants to move. Your body doesn't want to sit there braced. It wants to move. Have y'all watched? Of course, I'm out here with a bunch of animals, but have you noticed how animals will shake when they first get up, that we need to do that. So I might have them shake. I might have them
Mhm.
do some arm movements. I want them getting out of their head and into that body. Um, a lemon drop can help
Mhm.
sometimes. When I ran psych units,
I was like, a martini?
yeah.
I was like, what kind of
Afterwards, on
therapy
the way
is
home.
this?
My type of therapy is what it
All
is.
right,
Yeah.
you meant the candy. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that can I mean, a strong flavor can kind of bring things back in a quick way for you.
That
And
makes
I
sense.
found that to be very helpful on the psych unit where I'm not at right now. But yeah, all those things can help you get embodied. Because dissociation is real. I mean, it's absolutely real.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely real. My husband had brain cancer and I had breast cancer at the same time a couple of
Oh,
years ago.
Good.
I teased him it was unprotected sex, but I mean it's a joke. That was not what it was. But
it's contagious.
yeah. But and we live 80 miles from Fort Worth, Texas, where all our hospitals are. So whenever then his brain got infected, y'all, it was just I was in a constant state of dissociation. I
Yeah.
had to purposely go outside and talk to the goats or pet Rex or watch the cows. For me, that helped me to go, okay, we got to
Mhm.
breathe, unbrace, let's get through this. Um,
Mhm.
and you can. It makes life so much more. And what we were talking about earlier, joy can come out when we are embodied. And I know we were
Yeah.
talking about what does it actually feel like? It's going to be different for everyone, but and it is different from happiness. You're actually my experience of it has been different from happiness. I have got a wonderful therapist, and when I am working hard with her, and I come home and I'm debriefing, I have experienced spontaneous joy.
Oh,
Mm.
that's awesome.
It's just
Yeah.
the best. My chest is just effervescent. My energy is flowing. Um,
People
and it
don't
just
think of
feels,
therapy as bringing joy, so that's really cool.
Yeah. Truly.
well, I'm 63, so we've been doing it a long time.
Something to look forward to then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love
Because there
that.
was a time it was not. As you're digging out all those skeletons and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but it's with when we can get that nervous system regulated and get all those rules. Do y'all have clients that have these rules they live by? Like, I should do this, I need to do that. And like, who said you need to do that? I have them make a little rule book and carry it around with them and write down those rules
I
and
Hmm.
love
ask,
that.
is it serving me or not?
Yeah.
Usually not. If we can get rid of those rules, get ourselves regulated, we can create a life that really feels pretty yummy. You know,
I love that
Yeah.
you're using the word yummy.
It is. I mean, we associate so much pleasure with taste, right?
I
Like
do.
food is a way that we bond, food is a way that we experience pleasure, food is a way that we escape the shit we don't want to deal with. And I'll
yeah.
I'll never forget when I heard Brene Brown say that the most vulnerable emotion you can experience is joy. Because I was like, hold up, what? Like, I want joy. What does that mean? And through becoming like her biggest fan, but she'll hear me say that one day, I swear. Um, I now understand like joy is so scary to people because it's the highest of highs that you can be, which also means it's the lowest of lows that you can fall to. But that's not how our body actually works. Like
Right.
we try to prevent feelings, right? Like
Oh,
when I was going through my house hunting, my mom was like, well, don't get too excited. You don't want to be disappointed if you don't get it. I'm like, it doesn't stop the disappointment. It just limits the excitement. Like I'm going to be disappointed if I don't get it no matter what unfolds. I want to experience the excitement. And I think that's a big thing that I notice in my practice is stopping the script that our emotions are good or bad, right or wrong, but going from a more biological standpoint of the motivational triad, how they're trying to take care of us and how they actually reflect things back to us about what we care about. Like I've had clients say, I don't want to feel this. And I'm like, okay, do you want to care about the safety of your kids? She's like, well, of course. I'm like, then you're going to feel worry. Like that that is a characteristic of you caring about the safety of your kids. It's not bad. I think what you might be trying to communicate to me is I don't know how to sit or process or be with my worry, right? And I think
yeah.
that's you want to talk about unconscious scripts of ways to be. This is where it's good. I'm a rule breaker because people tell me I should, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to, just because I'm a brat. Um, So like pros for rule breakers. But I feel like the most unconscious script that most of us honestly operate under is like it's not okay to have emotions, specifically
Oh,
the ones that we don't like. right?
You're, I spend 60 hours in a master's program trying to teach my counseling students how to sit with unpleasant emotions because we are not trained to do that. Whatever our parents' ideas were about emotions become our ideas about emotions.
Hmm.
I mean, we're in a very rare profession because we have to sit back and look at that and go, why do I believe that? Eh, But yeah, we want to go right past that emotion. And yeah, it's
I
very
call it
important.
when I talk to my clients about being with their emotions, I'm like, it's tea time. And
I,
tea shows up in different ways. Sometimes we drink tea and we need the cozy warmth of ourselves or something just like that pressure in our body, as you were talking about. Sometimes tea is like gossip and we're hearing the banter in our brain of how that one emotion feels about this scenario or what it's going to be. And other times, tea comes in the form of tears, but you just got to
yeah,
have tea. And when the emotion's done with the tea, it will let you know because you will experience its absence.
yeah.
And I remember the very first time that I challenged my own perception of sadness. Like I felt myself listening to a podcast, wanting to cry largely because I hadn't met Alicia yet. And like, she's my bestie and I needed her my whole life. Love you. And um, it was about friendship. And I had had a lot of hardship around friendship. And so it was bringing up tears and I was making breakfast. And I remember my first instinct was to push it down. I was like, no, the only way for me to figure this out is to like see what happens. And so I let it and I like got some Julia Roberts style tears as I'm making my breakfast. I was totally in a movie in my own head. And within 2 minutes, probably, the emotion went away. And it is such an imprinted experience because historically, when I would cry, it would be panda time, as in, like, my eyes would swell. I would have a giant headache. My sinuses were all inflamed.
Oh,
Not because the problem was with sadness, the problem was with my response to sadness. The
yeah,
consistent pushing it away made it erupt into this panda style puffy.
yeah.
But when I just allowed 2 minutes and it was gone. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. This whole time, that's all I had to do. Do you
Uh,
have those experiences with your clients?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My clients and my students as they're going out into the field for the first time. Absolutely. And it is so life-changing. And just as you mentioned, that you mean I can actually just feel my way through this and I'm on the other side of it. It's the
Hmm.
fear of the emotions. We make meaning out of these emotions based on whatever schema or whatever has told us about emotions. I born in Fort Worth, Texas in 1963. My daddy, who was an engineer about helicopter, would go, I will give you something to cry about.
Yep.
He was wonderful, but so, and we're picking up meaning about emotions. Oh, well, then I don't feel like I feel. Well, I mean, we don't have
Yeah.
the words for it, but we're not, I mean, my grandchildren have been parented very differently, and I think they are far more emotionally IQ'd than we were, or than my generation was coming forward. But that meaning, that drama we put around emotions creates so much unnecessary drama. I'm just going to stay with the word drama. I love that
Hmm.
you could do that for yourself. And I firmly believe life is about 70-30. 70, pretty cool, pretty all right stuff. 30 sucks, just absolutely sucks. And I think that's a gift in that you appreciate the 70 so much more by understanding that 30 and by holding
Yeah.
space for it and not judging it. Just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna suck, but we got to get through this. And that's the only way to get through it.
Well, I think therein lies the problem with perfection, right? There's no 30. So if there's a problem, it needs to be fixed immediately or I'm not perfect. But when you allow space for humanity, for the natural ebbs and flows of what helps us learn and develop and have agency in who we become, it doesn't always come through the rainbow moments. It typically comes through the muddy ones.
Anything I learned in life come from a failure. I think we underrate failure. I think failure is a good thing.
Hmm.
That's think of the lessons we get from it. I mean, it was hard as my kids. I remember my oldest son got invited to leave Kansas State University. Not everyone gets that invitation, but
Lucky.
but, but Cliff did. And and I wanted to, I mean, I'm academic. I'm like, oh my God, my son can't flunk out of college. And I remember my husband said, you sit your ass down. You let this child figure this out. And he is a highly successful rancher up in Montana, living his dream. And he will tell me he found a way to get into a junior college, get his grades up, get back into Kansas State. He tells me to this day. In fact, he saved me when we were ziplining just last week. But he will tell me that is the best lesson I've ever had. And I think that that's an important, just humanity. That's the humanity piece. We don't need to be rescued.
Yeah.
We,
No.
if we, and it wasn't a failure, that was a learning lesson. And that's what
No.
failures are. It's an opportunity to learn.
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
I don't like the word failure, but it's only because I
Yeah.
don't like the context around it. I don't like that
Right.
people look at it as like a personal failing. To me, it's
Yeah.
just an opportunity.
Yeah, it's like
Absolutely.
that didn't work. One less thing to keep on the docket of trying.
How else are we going to learn? How else are we going to learn? Um,
Literally.
Ugh.
I just think we have to embrace it. And I mean, I don't really like the word failure myself, but because of the context around it, but it's one of the most beautiful things we can do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I
It
agree.
opens
Yeah.
up doorways. And
Yeah.
perfection is just from hell. It's
Do you think, I'm curious, do you think that it's like in our nature to want to be perfect? Because I grew up really religious. I used to think that it was religious people that pushed this idea of perfectionism because Jesus was perfect, so you should be perfect. But then I
Mm.
met people who weren't religious at all, and they also wanted to be perfect. And I was like, huh, where does this come from for us?
I need a new theory for that.
Yes.
Mhm.
You know, I think it's personalities. I think maybe I have a theory. It's called good girl detox. And it's not always women because I've worked with plenty of men, and gentlemen over the years. I was a registered play. Well, I'm a registered play therapist, so I work with WeWas for a lot. But we learn to fawn and appease to stay in the tribe, if you will. If you look at, I mean, when we're little, we have to be taken care of, or we're gonna die. So we learn to appease and please, and we get a lot of good kudos from that. And we learn, oh, that felt pretty good. Maybe I'll try this. Oh, that felt pretty good. And I think that might have some root in that
Mhm.
perfectionistic piece. And then we take it too far. I know
Mhm.
I did. I didn't get college until I was 24. Right out of high school. I got married at 16. It's don't do that. Don't do that.
Whoa.
But um and anyway, right out of high school, I went to hair school. I was a cosmetologist, knew I wanted to go to school, but I was married to a man that was kind of mean and said I was too stupid to go to college.
Mm.
Um, but by the time I got to college, I felt like I was behind and I had to be ambitious and perfect to make my way through, which uh, I don't even know how I got that in my head. Perhaps I got called into the dean's office. Yeah, this is how I did not know what I was doing. And the dean, because I had a 4.0, and I thought, well, I'm going to get kicked out of school. That's a terrible, that's not a good grade.
Mm.
And I, in fact, got a scholarship. And I think things like that, I mean, based on the appeasing I'd done growing up, and then I thought I had to prove myself. I had something to prove because I was late getting started. I think perfectionism is born in those things.
Have you heard the four P's that Brene Brown talks about? Perfect, please, perform, prove. And
All
like
those
those
things.
are the protective patterns that we learn.
Yeah.
And as I listen, it's pleasing, perfecting,
Yeah.
perform. I mean, I heard all four of them.
All of them. Yes. I was good. I worked myself into an eating disorder. I was good at
Mhm.
people pleasing.
Yeah.
And then, I'm a recovering people pleaser. I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Mhm.
It's a great place to be. And after 55, I fell off this little cliff where I was like, F it. I'm
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
in with things.
We're there. We
Are you?
one of my favorite practices to throw another P word in there with
Yeah.
Alicia, is we intentionally, like, we use the Marco Polo app to send each other like the ugliest versions of ourselves in videos. Like, how many chins can we have in a video? Can we fart on video or burp or do the things that like you're not supposed to do? And every time I see a polo come through, I smile because it's just my person who's being herself and like having places where there is non-judgment, where there is just true freedom to be you, which I mean, therapy and coaching provide a lot of that. But I'm saying, like, even outside of that, like, I'm so blessed to have that with her. It
Oh,
is the greatest form of freedom that I've actually probably ever experienced. It's just the freedom to be me without the conditions of that's not allowed. But
right.
I, something I naturally repeat on here all the time is I really do believe that has to start within ourselves.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
even
Internal
if,
locus.
yeah, like even if Alicia didn't judge me, if I was judgmental of myself for not performing one of the P's perfectly, I'm still not going to feel that freedom, even though she's doing everything to create that space. And that's where I always get tangled between our desire to try and like curate an external reality to fit what we know versus kind of go inside and transform and like kind of do that work, unearth the seeds that don't work for us anymore, plant new ones, and allow, like, that's a word that keeps coming up that I keep hearing you say, is this permission, this allowance of being yourself, because that is where our greatest agency lies, I think, don't you?
It absolutely is. And the world needs you, your
Like,
authentic
yeah.
self. We tend to show up small if we are in that place of judging ourselves and just take up space. Don't
Mm,
apologize for taking up space. A lot of
mm-mm.
assignments I give some of my early clients is do not apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. No, you say I'm beautiful. Do not apologize. And it's so sweet. They'll come back in a few weeks and go, I can just see them taking up space. Like
Yeah.
I'm beautiful. Damn
Yeah.
straight you are. But yeah, it has to be an internal locus of control. Absolutely. We have to believe. We have
Mm,
to release whatever's going on in our throat chakra. Let our authenticity come out. And it's a great thing. I mean, I I remember back in my perfectionism days, I'd show up in a room and it was hard to even make eye contact. I mean,
mm.
I could not show up as myself because I was so busy worrying that everyone was judging me. Nobody even noticed I was there. You know,
Yeah.
we, we, uh, the things we put up on ourselves. And it's so amazing. And I'm gonna go back to the yummy word, yummy, to show up and take up space and go, you don't have to like
This
me. It's
is
okay.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, there's a something I heard on another podcast that I regularly repeat in conferences with clients, and it hits me because I was told I was intimidating growing up, is I'm not intimidating, you're intimidated. There's a difference. I
Big
don't
difference.
take up too much space. You're just used to playing small. My light is not too bright. You're just used to dimming your own. I'm not mean nor aggressive. I am honest and assertive, and that makes you uncomfortable. And I do not make you uncomfortable. My presence challenges your comfort. All of
Oh,
that is yours. I will not be made to feel less so you can feel more. And
I
it
love
switched it for me in my own mind of like, oh my God, I'm not intimidating. They were feeling intimidated. It's not what
right.
I'm doing, it was their feeling. And that is something that I wish I could infuse in people's brains as a like interpretation when people are accusational. Because when someone's accusing you of how you are being, it's hard not to hear their words and take their words at that value.
Right.
And
Well, your nervous system gets gets
triggered.
dysregulated.
Yeah, exactly. Hmm. Fascinating. It's all
That's a
starts. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that's a beautiful thing you can do for yourself. That's a beautiful thing to be able to reframe that and show up. It's like, no, that's within you, not me. Yeah.
Well, I think if you reject yourself long enough, you learn the toll that it can take. And then finally, I was like, you know what? I might not be 50 yet, but I am in my fuck it era.
I love
It
that.
can come earlier sometimes.
I know. I'm an old
Yeah.
soul, I'm told.
That, well, I hear a lot of wisdom, a whole lot of wisdom. And that's, I mean, that's, yeah, show up regulated. I'm going to take up the space I need and I'm not apologizing.
Mm, I love that. All right, last question for me. I know it's not a this is how it works for everyone answer. My understanding is you can kind of find regulation from a top down or a bottom up space, right? Top down being your head leads your body into a regulated space. Bottom up is your body leads your head into a regulated space. And obviously, we're talking about somatic, so predominantly a bottom up regulation space.
Right.
Have you seen success with people being able to regulate from a top down?
Um, it perhaps I think that that is a harder place to start because we want to go back to that floating head of competence and think our way out of something.
Right.
And and that can leave you laying awake at 2 a.m. in the morning trying to, think your way, like, why isn't this working? I think the more we can get our body involved, even if it's just that vagus nerve, the deep,
Mm.
breath and you, ah, I can't tell you, a whole room of women doing that sounds like a lot of orgasms going on. That's kind of kind of fun. Everyone's regulating. Um, I think you have to get your body involved at some point, or it's going to be hard to get that nervous system
Mm.
regulated. Um, I could be, I'm sure there's someone out there who could prove me wrong. But
Well, right. It's not a all or nothing. I
yeah,
know, I think in the experience I've had with my clients, sometimes they need the top down to mute the
yeah,
top to then give the bottom up
the
space to
space.
regulate. Like if they're really,
Mhm.
really hot and anger and they can't quiet their mind, sometimes they need to like go through one or two top down to then actually move through it. But I've yet to fully see someone do it top down unless it was like a two on the emotional scale for them.
Yeah, yeah. I think that somatic piece is so important. And I think one of the longest journeys we take is from our head to our heart. I mean, that's that's like
Mm,
you're out in the wilderness in the jungle and um but I think with the nervous system that I've just seen it. Just getting your
mm,
body involved can be so helpful. And some of us, especially with anger, and y'all have probably seen this, and I especially saw it when I was working with teenagers. Uh, but well, I say that, hell, I'm one of them. If I'm angry, I've got to move that anger. I have a punching bag out in my barn that, I mean, I've got to move that anger or otherwise it just sits and bakes. And I see it kind of oozing out in places where I'm like, I didn't want that to happen. Like, move this anger.
mm.
Anyway, and I scream a lot when I do it. But I'm out in the barn, so nobody's bothered.
Is Rex cool with the boxing?
He's out in the pasture. He would not be.
Um,
Rex would
okay.
not be. He'd be like, ears would be going every which way. No, he's quite the prima donna. He's cool with being brushed.
That's beautiful.
I like his style. All right,
Yeah.
so quick question. Your book, Are We Having Sex or What? Is that what you said?
Are we having sex or what? It's what I said to my
Yeah.
husband on our first date. That's
Ah! Oh, okay. I was curious if it was about like regulating your nervous system so that you can enjoy sex more, or that's it.
it.
Okay.
Yes, it's a midlife guide to feeling more alive and full of desire. And there's a lot of nervous system regulation through that because again, pleasure is one of the first things to go when we're in obligatory sex, or as we get older, we don't have that spontaneous desire so much. It's more of a responsive desire, which is fine. But just, it's if we are in a real frozen or survival state, it's going to be very hard to have fun in the bedroom. Um,
Mm,
so there's a lot of fun things in the book to try and help regulate that nervous system, and lots of just some spicy tips and also some conversations. Because through the years I've done marriage counseling, I've always been astonished how people don't have the words, don't even talk about what they want or don't want in during
mm,
sex. a lot of resentment comes up, a lot of things happen. So there's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a chapter of scripts in the book to try and give words for having those maybe only hard conversations because it's a new neural pathway. They're easy conversations, but you have to practice them. And the rule is you never have it naked in the bed. You got to have it at the kitchen table or somewhere outside of the bedroom so that
Nice.
it doesn't feel blaming, you know.
Mm.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah. It was so fun to write. It was so fun to write.
Oh, I'm sure. I remember hearing someone say horny is healthy, and I was like, that's
Oh,
that's catchy. Yeah, no, I get that.
that's a bumper sticker. I like it.
Yeah.
But
That'd be a really funny bumper sticker.
yeah,
Really
my
funny.
husband gave me a keychain that says horny when we were dating.
My God, that's awesome.
I'm older than he is. He just
That's great. I love
yeah,
that.
Even better.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today and with our
Y'all are
audience.
delightful.
Thank
Well,
you.
y'all are
Yeah.
absolutely precious. I love that you found each other and have that bond. And thank you so much for inviting me in.
Thank you. It was very, very helpful. I know that this is a aspect of kind of coming home to ourselves that so many people struggle with. So it was fun to see so many different, like the three of us who have different ways of reaching people, that it really is like, no matter who you are, you're going to find your person to help you. Just got to keep looking. So there's so much diversity and it made me really excited. So thank you for everything you're doing. And horny is healthy.
I love that.
All right. If people want to find you, where would they find you?
I'm on Instagram, Dr. Julie Merriman, and also my website. Everything's on my website. I've got two podcasts that come out weekly on the website too.
Awesome.
www.juliemerrimanphd.com. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you once again, and we'll find you out there.
Thank you.